first reader will be Michael Fournier. Michael is the author of the novels Swing State and Hidden Wheel, both published by Three Rooms Press, as well as Double Nickels on the Dime, the 45th installment of the Bloomsbury Press's acclaimed 33 1/3 series. He is publisher and fiction editor of Cabildo Quarterly, a broadsheet literary journal. He and his wife, Rebecca, live in Western Massachusetts with their cat, who keeps them warm. Okay, so Mike, thanks a lot.
What's up, Austin? How's everybody doing? Well, last time I was in town was 2006. I saw Jandek's first American show at the Scottish Rite Theater. I confess that since we got here last night, I have messed with Texas a little bit. I apologize. I did 28 readings in 25 towns to support my novel Swing State in 2014. No, 2015, last year. I love that book, but I'm sick of it. So I'm going to read you some stuff from my new book, which is called Inferno Jones, which is about reality television, punk rock, and restaurants. Here's what you need to know coming into this chapter, which I am debuting in Austin tonight. Greenspan is my fictional band. Jean-Yves Escondido dresses up in a uniform, and he does all of these rants when he's on stage. He used to go out with Addie Pacine, who is the guitarist. They don't go out anymore. They're opening for a larger band now. They travel around in a bus. The pressure makes them crack. The narrator, the person that I'm focusing on, is the bass player of Greenspan. Her name is Virgia Disaster, right?
Yeah.
Decent punk rock name. She sort of bumbled into the gig, right? And she's totally overwhelmed by it. And you're going to meet Inferno Jones in a basement in Plattsburgh, New York. So here we go. I should mention also that Becky Garcia, who works here, was the point person for setting up this reading. My wife and I came from Western Massachusetts. We're grateful to Becky, everybody here at the store, as well as Connie and James, who I'm psyched to share a bill with. Anyway, here we go. Until the rest area, she remembered him as the kid from Plattsburgh. In the second and third weeks of their long van tour, Jean-Yves Escondido and Addie Pacine had strung together a run of shows in the Northeast, the only other time she'd been to Boston, at a little club on one corner of a four-way intersection packed with Asian groceries, tattoo parlors, and vape shops. She'd liked the neighborhood and now couldn't remember the club's name. From Boston, they played an ill-attended collective in Western Massachusetts, then a basement near a SUNY campus. Boob dramas were nothing special musically. A poppy two-guitar attack, slightly and willfully off-color. They probably sold a ton of t-shirts to kids who hadn't heard a single note of their music, an audience of 15-year-old boys who thought wearing the word boob on their shirt was the pinnacle of humor. Their drummer was hard to miss, not because of his beats, which were competent, but because in a basement full of peroxided spikes and black denim, he wore his long hair in a ponytail, tattooed arms occasionally brushing against his waxed handlebar mustache. Post-show, Virgia and Wyatt, the drummer, and Jean-Yves helped their hosts clean the basement of Boob Manor. Addie, as was her wont, disappeared, and so did that ridiculous drummer. The thought of those two hooking up grossed out Virgia. She wasn't beyond a hookup here and there. None of them were, save Wyatt, monkish in his abstinence from most things. But that guy? There were cuter, more charismatic options to be had. Jimmy, one of the two Boob Drama's guitarists, noticed their absence and chuckled. "I know where they are," he said. "And where's that?" "His room." The thought of them together conjured an image from their set. The drummer, Dane, if she remembered right, was a sweater. As he played shirtless, he managed to soak every surface in a 5-foot radius of the kit with sour-smelling sweat. Addie would emerge from his room completely drenched, even if she decided not to kiss him. Disgusting. Jimmy burst out laughing as he swept the last of the post-show debris into an oversized dustpan. "No," he said, "whatever you're thinking isn't right. Let's go take a look." "Come on," he said, waving an arm towards the skeletal stairs. Jean-Yves called out from the cubby where he stashed brooms and dustpans. "What are you doing?" "Finding your lost guitarist," Jimmy replied. "I think I know where she is," Jean-Yves said. Jimmy grinned. "You think you know, and you might be half right, but you should see this." With Wyatt in tow, the four of them climbed the stairs to the main floor, where the obligatory post-show party was in full swing, records blasting, sweaty punkers in black t-shirts swilling cans of beer on ratty couches. Jimmy guided them through the morass, stopping long enough for the partygoers, none of whom Virgia had seen in the basement, cried out that their band was fucking awesome. Virgia and Jean-Yves thanked them, told them they'd be back in a minute, and followed Jimmy up a second set of stairs to a floor of closed doors she assumed were the band's bedrooms. Jimmy walked them to the end of the hallway where he stopped. "Here it is," he said, standing in front of a door decorated with an oversized photo of a hot dog. Padlock hasp bolted to both door and jamb, unlocked. "Here's where the magic happens." Gross, Virgia thought. Jimmy opened the door without knocking and stepped inside. Virgia was smacked immediately with a wave of heat, in stark contrast to the downstairs de rigueur punk house chill. Her eye was drawn first to the room's corner. The perimeter of the closet door there was harsh and fluorescent, most pronounced around the bottom, where the crack between the door and the floor cut an eerily stark figure against the darkness. A high-pitched hum threatened to overtake the meanderings emanating from the boombox. On the bed, Addie sat grinning at some undefinable point fixed over their heads. Next to her was Dane. She could tell it was him because of the tattooed arms, but from the shoulders up, he was obscured by a contraption that looked very sci-fi. Black motorcycle helmet from which fabric cascaded down, obscuring the logo on his punk shirt. A sort of horn she couldn't quite discern protruded from the helmet's top. It was an odd scene, but not altogether surprising. Virgia had met any number of spoiled man-children on tour, whose fascinations with the trapping of their youth only grew with time and trust funds. If the sweaty drummer had a Star Wars fixation and tried to impress members of touring bands with his memorabilia collection, so be it. The scene was geeky, but it was way better than the image she had of the waxed mustache dude sweating all over Addie as he tried to cram his whole tongue down her throat. "Hey," Addie said, still staring over their heads. Jimmy smiled. "How was it?" "How was what?" "The helmet." "Oh," she said. "It was great. Just great. Do you guys want to try it?" Virgia was confused. "Try what?" Dane lifted the helmet. Filthy smoke haloed his face, disappearing to reveal a wide, toothy grin and a stare similarly fixed on the horizon. The smell hit her, and it all came together. The closet, the heat. "You dudes and dudettes gotta try the helmet," he croaked. "Addie expanded her horizons. She is puffing pounds in there. The most holy gosh. That shit is insane," Addie managed. "Doing the helmet is so off the chizane," Dane said, "that it's off the chiz." He lowered the contraption to his lap and spun it gently towards them. "See, you pack the righteous bowl right here," he said, pointing towards the horn. "Then you plug this in." From behind them, he produced an air compressor. Jean-Yves barked a laugh. "For fuck's sake," he said. "If stoners would put as much energy into anything besides getting stoned, we'd have world peace. And no one would go hungry." Dane grinned, rocking gently back and forth. "But the most holy ganj helps us actualize, my brother from another mother. We are harnessing our most holy spiritual potential so we can take our sacred talents where they need to be." "What a bunch of bullshit," Jean-Yves said. "What are your talents anyway?" Dane closed his eyes, still grinning, still gently rocking. "I had many talents, brother. I could turn my body into a holy metronome, and my palate is like Bill Clinton. Unimpeachable." Here Addie began to laugh. Virgia couldn't help but laugh herself. Maybe Jean-Yves, himself an adherent to shtick, was threatened by this harmless goof. Watching him react to Dane was like watching everyone else react to Jean-Yves' fake fascist raps, and Jean-Yves had no idea. Addie laughed harder, easing herself from bed to floor, where her laughter trailed off as she curled into a fetal ball. Dane's grin widened. "She's reverting to the most holy birth position," he said. "She'll get in touch with her natural state of being. This fetal ganj is off the divine chiz, brah." The Kid from Plattsburgh was a great story, one shared around frequently. Other bands they met had played Boob Man and had similar experiences with a kid who made bongs out of desk chairs, shoe boxes, a printer. Even Wyatt would occasionally refer to something as off the chiz. Dane was a character to be sure, but there was no way of knowing they'd be at a rest stop somewhere outside of Chicago, buses gassing up, when she'd see his dopey, smiling face on the television. She almost spit out her coffee when she saw Dane, now per an on-screen banner apparently named Inferno Jones, wordlessly emoting into a camera, pointing to a multi-tiered hamburger before jamming it whole into his mouth. "Holy shit," Virgia proclaimed. "That fucking guy with the helmet, look!" "Nice dude," Addie intoned, looking up from the screen. "Best weed I ever smoked. Totally off the chiz." So there's that. That's the character who totally ruins everyone's life in my book. So it's going to be fun. This is called Behind the Music with Bullshit Wolf. It's about mental corruption. How did Bullshit Wolf come about? People ask me that a lot. We chose the name because wolves are such elegant creatures. You know, they're predators, they're wild, they roam the forest, and they don't take no for an answer. Of all the animals, the wolf scares humans the most. Packs of wolves just slaughter cows, and wolves come into fields and destroy corn and crops like it's no big deal. I don't know if you know this, but the price of ethanol has gone up because wolves are destroying all the corn in the Midwest. It's a fact. Now, wolves are dangerous, but they're also beautiful. The way they take care of their cubs, the way they take care of human babies. When a little kid is discovered that was raised by wolves, that's special. That person is a special, special person. They're thinking the same things that we are, but they're thinking in a language that only a few humans understand. They're thinking in wolf. So while I might think I'm going to the store to buy some smokes, a child raised by wolves might think, wow! The bullshit part? Well, there's a lot of bullshit out there. Look at the state of our country right now. The economy, taxes, bullshit. Think of a wolf. Would a wolf tolerate the economy the way it is? No. No, he would not. Because wolves do not have any patience for bullshit. So that's why. It's like the wolf is patrolling around the field, and what is he going to do if he sees any bullshit? He's going to destroy it. Just like it was a Midwestern cornfield. And if there's anything left that isn't bullshit, he's going to love it and nurse it and raise it as his own, just like a newborn baby. And then that non-bullshit baby will be all like, wow! And everyone will realize that he's special. He's speaking wolf. Well, it's hard to pinpoint the start, but if I had to, I mean, really had to, I'd say that Bullshit Dingo probably started about 15 minutes after Bullshit Wolf. Well, just think about it. What's a dingo? A dingo is like a hairier, smellier wolf, right? A hairy, smelly wolf that lives in the desert by itself. A dingo is a scavenger. A dingo is like the Loch Ness Monster. You don't see as many dingoes as you do wolves. They're mysterious. And they're not as loving or caring as wolves. How many babies have you met that have been raised by dingoes? 0. Because dingoes are crass. They're hard. But think about how dingoes and wolves are the same. You know what the biggest similarity is? They both hate bullshit. In fact, dingoes probably have a lower threshold for bullshit than wolves, period. So Bullshit Wolf just kind of happened. That's right, we do share songs, and we share our members and equipment. The songs might sound the same, but it's all about our mindset when we're playing them. If we're playing a song about global warming, and we're thinking specifically about how global warming affects our neighborhood, then it's better suited for Bullshit Wolf, because wolves are more local, you know? Wolves make their home bases and don't really stray from them. They're elegant creatures who care about their families and their neighborhoods, and they'd be concerned about the effects of global warming in their community because they're friends with all the other wildlife and trees and rocks that live in the area. But if we're playing the same song and we're talking about the effects of global warming on the earth, well, that's something entirely different because a dingo is a wanderer. A dingo's always on the road trying to find food and shelter. Dingoes love to travel. And if you're a dingo, you're concerned about all the other dingoes you met on your road trips and vacations. Wolves are very community-oriented, dingoes are very global, and we're a complex band. We're very, very complex. We have moods and emotions that really inform us as artists. So sometimes a song will be played by Bullshit Wolf, and other times Bullshit Dingo. It just depends on what we're feeling, man. Why did Bullshit Dingo break up? Well, Bullshit Dingo would be playing, and certain members of the band, and I'm not going to mention any names, would be thinking about how songs were about the local elections, when in fact they were actually about the all-world or even global elections. So that made it really hard on the band, and especially the fans. Bullshit Dingo fans are very special people. They would not and could not tolerate certain members of Bullshit Dingo playing Bullshit Wolf songs at Bullshit Dingo shows. That's bullshit. The future? Well, I'm glad you asked. Since Bullshit Dingo broke up, it's changed my way of thinking. I used to see shades of gray everywhere in the world, but now I'm seeing things much more clearly. The world has become more black and white for me, but I'm still very much against all the injustice and evil in the world. So, I started a new band. We're called Bullshit Zebra. We're hoping to tour with Bullshit Wolf. Connie Squires is next. Thank you for coming.